I am Matthew Eberhardt. I'm the State Off-Highway Vehicle Coordinator with Arizona State Parks and Trails. So we're in the Bulldog Canyon Off-Highway Vehicle Area at Hackamore, where we have worked with the East Valley Horsemen, the Tonto National Forest, and now the Arizona Game and Fish Department to install fencing to prevent off-highway vehicle user-created routes near a water catchment that's critical to wildlife habitat.
Hello, I'm Sheila Shattuck. I am National Director for Backcountry Horsemen of America and Vice President of our local chapter, which is East Valley Backcountry Horsemen. When I first came to this area about 17 years ago, this was like an oasis. There was a spring, there was a lot of vegetation, plenty of places for the wildlife to drink. Over the past few years, OHVs have gotten off trail and ran over the pipes that filled the tank that kept the water for the wildlife. I met Matt Eberhardt, and he said that there was funding available from state parks for these type of projects. So I then reached out to the Forest Service, the Tonto National Forest, and worked with Kelly Ariza. And then once the Forest Service got involved, they saw how much they were actually going off trail, and so we proceeded to come up with a plan to enclose the area with pipe rail.
So we have a lot of users out here, and it's complicated to make sure that everyone has the right information, what they need to be aware of, how to recreate responsibly, where the trails are, and just being aware of the wildlife out here, the vegetation, everything they need to protect while they're riding and while they're having a fun time as well. So this project was put in place to make sure that they are being aware of their surroundings and being aware of where the trail ends and why we need to protect the resources.
So Arizona State Parks and Trails receives 60% of all off-highway vehicle recreation dollars, and with those monies, we give out 88% of our holdings in grant projects. So with this case, one of our primary functions is protecting wildlife habitat and cultural sites, while also providing quality experiences for the OHV community. So in this case, we were approached to come out and see if this was a viable project, and in talking with the Tonto National Forest, we identified that user-created trails were causing a negative impact to that wildlife water.
So here they used to have a spring that they had plumbed over to this spot for access for probably livestock and wildlife. And as you can see, it's a little bit in disarray right now, so we're going to restore it back to what it used to be. That's exactly part of my program, is to distribute water throughout the state of Arizona. So this fits in perfectly with my department, where we're bringing water access to wildlife.
So this behind us here is the pipe rail fencing that was installed. So we're hoping that over time, being able to put this fencing in place will start to bring more wildlife back to the spring and back to the water catchment, and kind of restore some of the natural habitat that existed prior to those user-generated trails that have happened.
Well, as horsemen, we are in this area a lot, and there are not very many places for the animals to be able to get a drink of water. This was such a wonderful area for not just horses, but for the wildlife. I live nearby here. I visit this area a lot in the early mornings. I've seen everything from deer, bobcat, javelina, lots of bees and birds and so forth. At one point in time, the concrete tank was kept filled and it made it easily accessible. The spring itself is actually up on the side of the rock there. It's not easily accessible to the small animals.
If we didn't have these water sources for wildlife, it gets extremely dry and extremely hot here. So usually the population either thrives or dies with the moisture level of the state. So like during this drought, we'd have an ultimate low number of animals if we didn't have these waters out here to mitigate that.
It makes me want to protect the resources for sure, but it also makes me want to get that information out there for folks so they can see, hey, this is a really cool feature out there. We want you to see it, but we want to make sure that you know that this is something that we want future generations to see, and we want you to enjoy it while you're recreating. So we want everyone to see it, but we want to protect it too. We want it to be here for future generations.
It's been wonderful. I always say it takes a village, and I believe that with all my heart. This project would not have been possible without everyone working together.
It's actually really cool to see federal, state entities coming together with private groups that want to see the habitat restored to what it was originally.
I just wanted to highlight that East Valley Backcountry Horsemen has done a great job. They're the ones that first brought this project to our awareness and the need to protect this spring. So I really wanted to shout out to them, and I appreciate all their dedication to this project. They've been great to work with as well.
See those things coming to fruition is really awesome. Overall, just one of those really feel-good projects to be involved with, and excited to see more opportunities like this come forward in grant requests.